Is this normal? In profound grief, I feel like we are all asking ourselves this question all day, every day, with anything new that comes up that we go through. Is this normal? Is this what other people who have this kind of loss go through? And I have come to hate this question. So if you want to find out why I hate this question, stay tuned.
There's a puppy right here.
Hello and welcome to A Grief Journey. This is Catherine, and if you're new here, I created this channel as a way to document my process through grief after my 11-year-old daughter suddenly died. So today I want to talk about the question, is this normal? This question has popped up so many times in our process of grieving, and I've really come to hate this question. And it's such a common question that I still ask it accidentally myself a lot of the time. But today I want to tell you why I hate this question and the questions I try to ask myself instead that I think are just a little more helpful than that is this normal question. So before I get started, I want to share a clip from one of my favorite shows with my favorite character in that show, so clearly demonstrating why maybe we shouldn't always care whether or not something is normal.
Not mom, cat.
Ross, how many parents have you lost?
None.
Okay, then you don't know what it feels like when one of them comes back, do you? I believe this is my mother. Even if I'm wrong, who cares? Just be a friend, okay? Be supportive.
I'm sorry.
Is this normal? Who cares? So just because something is normal doesn't mean it's a good thing. And just because something is not normal doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It might be normal for someone with your health history to have a heart attack. That doesn't mean the heart attack is okay. You want to get help for that. You want to treat it. It's definitely not normal for someone to get obsessed with volcanoes in the 2nd grade and stay obsessed with them all the way up till this day. That's an example from my daughter, Corinne. Her not being normal is part of what makes her so wonderful. So is this normal? Even if we say, yes, it's normal, that doesn't necessarily tell us if something is going to help us in this journey of grief or not. I think there are better questions to ask. And something that made me kind of passionate about making this video, I've been going to this grief group at a local church, and they have speakers at the beginning and then we break into small groups. And it's been wonderful and very helpful and supportive. But this one mental health provider came in and was talking about, she called it hallucinations, or what other people who give it a little more legitimacy call after-death communication. So a lot of people, after losing a loved one that's very close to them, at some point experience contact with that person. I made a video on the after-death communications we've felt so far from Kaya. If you want to watch that video, I think it's a really interesting thing. But this mental health provider was talking about them, calling them hallucinations, and saying that maybe after a year, if you're still having them, you probably want to get help for them. But what she's missing about these experiences is that people tend to find these after-death communications very helpful, very peaceful and loving, and it helps them feel more comfort after they've lost someone. So in that case, who cares if it's normal? If it's helpful, you don't want to get rid of it. If you're, seeing your loved one in the middle of the road and it's causing you to swerve all over the place, maybe that's a problem. But if they're coming to you in dreams and you feel very comforted and loved, or you're hearing their voice tell you that they love you, why would you want to stop that, even if it's not normal? So the first question I try to ask myself, instead of is this normal, is this safe? And I think with our experiences and talking to other parents who have lost a child, we have almost universally gone through things that could potentially be dangerous. So I'll just kind of be really open and honest with you. For a while, feeling suicidal seems to be pretty normal for this level of loss. That does not mean you want to be like, oh, it's normal, it's okay, and not worry about it. You definitely want to reach out. You definitely want to get help for it, even though it seems to be a pretty universal thing that comes up at least at some point after losing a child. Another thing that comes up that's pretty common is, just wanting to punch things or having yourself pummeled. Like, I think I understand a lot better now why people go get drunk and get into bar fights, but that's not a safe thing to do. Maybe taking a boxing class or Krav Maga would be safer than going out and doing that. So is this safe? Is what I want to do safe? Is how I'm feeling safe? And if it's not a yes, you definitely want to do something about it right away. So that's the first question I try to ask myself. The second question I try to ask myself, if something is safe, is it helpful? So our family went to see a medium after Kaya died. I don't know whether it's normal or considered normal or not to seek out mediumship after a loved one dies, but we did, and I know some people in our lives were kind of upset or shocked, appalled by it a little bit. But you know what? We all walked away from the medium feeling better, so it was helpful. So I don't care if it's normal. I don't care about any of that. I just care that we felt better afterwards. It would kind of be interesting to get into mediumship after death, maybe in another video. I'm not really going to dig into that now, but especially if you yourself are going through grief, if you are doing things that other people find out of the box or not normal, but they're helping you, my encouragement would just be ignore those voices as much as you can. This is about you. This is about what you need. And if it is safe and it is helpful, go for it. And the last question I try to ask myself is this healthy? Now, definitely in major grief is not the time to try to push through and stop all of your vices. Vices are often not healthy, but they're also there for a reason. They're there to help you cope. And now is not the time to just shove all of that aside. But maybe as you start to get feeling a little better, this could be a useful question to ask yourself. Is this healthy? Maybe I still keep this vice, but I add another healthy coping strategy in as well. So I'm just going to close with these questions. It's not like I can expect everything I do to be helpful and healthy. I should try to aim for everything I do after grief being safe, but helpful and healthy all the time is too big an expectation. So I don't necessarily say something is inappropriate or I can't do it because it's unhelpful or unhealthy. These things are just going to come up. Anger is such an understandable response, and it is likely going to lead to you lashing out at people you love. That's not helpful or healthy, but it's going to happen. Vices grow in intensity quite a bit when you're in this much grief. Hopefully they're already safe vices or relatively safe vices, and if not, hopefully you can find a way to make them safer. But I try not to beat myself up with the helpful and healthy questions, aiming for everything I do to be helpful and healthy, because it's far from it. I still engage in very unhealthy vices. I still let my reactions get me to a point where I do things that I wouldn't have done if I were calmer. It's just part of the process. But as I get stronger and I gather my resources around me a little better, I am aiming to try to make a greater portion of helpful and healthy choices as I go in this journey. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I would love to live in a society where we don't care as much when we're going through something so out of control, not normal, asking ourselves that question, is this normal? Because I don't feel the response gives us any direction or anywhere to go with that. So is it safe? Is it helpful? Is it healthy? To me, I think are better, more effective questions to ask ourselves. If you found this video helpful and you'd like to watch more videos, please click and subscribe. If you know someone you think would enjoy this content, please share with them. And if you are yourself going through a huge loss, just please know I'm thinking about people who go through these kinds of losses every day, and I really hope that you can feel all the love you have around you. Until next time.